What? Why are you laughing at the cat attached to my arm?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that as well. Are you ready?
Yep. Yeah. I'm not going to do ventriloquism, Justin, I promise. I have a cat, folks, attached. It's like a cat with, like, if you imagine where the ears should be. No, there's the ears, but like inside of his head, it's like a hole through the middle of his head. And I have my arm poked through it. So it's like a cat skewer, but it's just really comfortable.
Yeah, it's not a real cat.
It's not a real cat. I wouldn't do that to a real cat. It's a plushie.
But they can't see that.
Okay.
So you sound like this demented guy who's got his arm through a cat. Yes. You've got... It's a sleeping pillow.
If I hold it up to the microphone, can they see it clearer?
2 years, and this is what you know about podcasting. Hello, and welcome to Filling in the Gaps. I'm Justin.
I'm Darren.
And today we are doing what kind of year-end wrap-up that we did similarly last year. But this is the end of what I will label Season 2. So here we are,
really?
Nearly...
2 years? Yeah, it is. Yeah. Wow. Time flies.
So here we are at the end of our second year. First, thank you for listening.
Yep.
Obviously. We will say it again at the end, but it deserves being said twice. Some things that basically this is just a wrap-up. So some things we've got going on, some things we want to remind you about. Here we go. Mm-hmm. First thing, teasers. At the end of most of the episodes anyway, I've been trying to throw some teasers for the following episode. They're roughly about a minute commercial of some of the best, very short bits that the episode will have to offer. I'd really appreciate it if you would take a minute and go to the end, even if you don't want to listen to the whole episode, of skipping to the end and checking them out, because I've been working on them. I'm a bit proud of them and I like them. And I feel like, well, just looking at our analytics on YouTube, not a lot of people are getting there. So I would definitely appreciate it if you would go and check some of those out, because I don't know. I like them. I think it's a good thing that I'm doing.
You should put them at the beginning, though. Yeah. So the episode starts next time on Buyer's Remorse. Like, put them right at the start. That would be weird.
It would be. I might do that for one or two just to let regular listeners know that this is something that is happening.
Yeah. It's a good way to tell what episodes Justin has edited, because I'm too lazy to do them from mine. Yeah, Justin's episodes are way better than mine.
Let's talk a bit about the Steam group. Our Steam group, also filling in the gaps, is at the point of recording this is 279 and still growing. Like, we've had a bit of a boost lately as well. So I think that it's possible we're going to get to 300 at some point.
Hopefully, yeah. It'd be nice to get to 300 at some point. It's just we can have our This Is Sparta episode. Yeah, it's great. I haven't been that active on the Steam group lately either, so it's like people are still joining up. Seems like it's just word of mouth going down. That's good, because that's what we really would like to see. I've been really busy lately. I haven't put up that many puzzles, but there will be a puzzle. I'm going to mention it in this episode as well, maybe towards the middle or the end of this wrap-up. There is one final puzzle for the year, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, the Steam group is growing and doing fine. Everyone seems to be happy with what's going on.
Which is fantastic. We've had a few games offered to us through the curator. I don't even know how we would say it, like the curator page or whatever. And that's been great. We get some that are not really anything to do with us or what the podcast would be about, but we do get some puzzle games. It's nice to see indie devs out there and reaching out to us, because we're not actively seeking out most of these. So it's very nice to have that. As far as events, here's the thing. Let's talk about your arm for a minute. Darren's arm is still...
It has a cat attached to it.
Okay. He's got this sleeping pillow on it because it keeps it warm, because here's the problem. His arm still has some problems, and he's about to go back in for surgery again. We don't say that because we want any sort of pity, but I do want you to realize this is why I have done our events page up until about May, I think. But honestly, I could do it up until, I think, the end of June. We've been on a mad dash to get some games done before he has access to only one arm again for a while. So sorry about spamming the calendar and updating. Typically, this is the way I do it, though. It's so much easier for me to do it all at once than to do it one at a time.
Yeah, me too. That's why I've been absent from Steam for basically the last month and haven't really done many puzzles and stuff because I'm just trying to edit, get video footage for the games that I can play with two hands and get everything done before the end of the year. Because, yeah, the surgery is my post-Christmas present. Merry Christmas, Darren.
But as far as giveaways, you have a schedule?
So giveaways for filling in the gaps. There will be some pretty big ones coming up in January and February. There is going to be, like I said, there's going to be a puzzle in this episode for some games as well, if you can work it out, what we're talking about. But also, I'm not really going to be doing... I used to do like a lot of Steam giveaways. I used to do a lot of Steam gifts. But I've been finding... I did like a bunch of like massive key drops on that page, and I was getting, not many, but even if it's just like 3 or 4 out of maybe 100 keys, where people were like, oh, this didn't work. And then I kind of feel obliged to replace it with something. Well, a lot of times those keys were maybe donated by people, and I just didn't have really the money to replace them or other games to replace them with. So I'm going to kind of steer away from Steam gifts from now on. It's going to be all done through our Steam group page and through the YouTube page as well. Like, so if you watch, I'm maybe just going to flash up some keys for you to grab. If you're watching the episode, maybe they'll come up on the screen, basically. So, yeah, I think it's the end of Steam gifts for me, just because it seems to be problematic at times.
As far as the Steam group, I think it's still probably the best place to get in touch with us. We do have an email I'll get to at the end, but honestly, this is probably the place where we check the most. I don't tend to comment a lot, but I do lurk a lot, and I do read what people post, especially the threads we have going for mind-bending movies and puzzle games. These are suggestions we definitely want. That said, there's also other suggestions we would like. For example, however you can let us know, basically, where do you listen to your podcast? This is something that I really want to know. There are many, many what are referred to as podcatchers out there. We're on Stitcher. We've just recently, because we had a listener say that he typically uses Pocket Casts, I was able to get us on there very easily. But it's a matter of where are people and where do you want us to be? And that's something that I can always look to, spreading our stuff as far as possible if it's going to get to where people want to listen. Yeah,
because it seems like there's so many different ones now as well. There's like people are on a lot of different things because maybe their favorite shows are on those. They're easy to find or something like that. And yeah, this kind of stuff baffles me. I really have no idea about what's going on. So for me, it's like YouTube, done. But you're the master of all the kind of weird places that people listen to stuff that don't actually want to watch anything. They just want to listen to it as they do other things. Yeah, there's so many places, but yeah, where are you listening to it?
Where would you like us to be is what we want.
Yeah.
As far as YouTube, you had something annoying you wanted to say?
Annoying?
Mm-hmm.
What was it?
Just say what you're going to say.
Oh, yeah.
The same thing everybody says. Go ahead.
So, yeah, like, subscribe, and bell ring. And I was just like, I was just writing down a little thing. I was just like, just do it.
Oh, you didn't. You were going to say smash the like button.
Oh, smash the like button. Yeah, no, I don't want to say that. That makes me cringe every time I hear that.
Well, you said it before.
Maybe I was just copying. I was copying.
Look, this is exactly what you said. You said, look, in this, I do want to say smash the like button. So I was waiting for you to say it.
And now I've disappointed you.
Yes. All right, go on.
Yeah, I mean, like YouTube now seems to be like, it's all about who's the most popular and who gets the most likes and who gets the most comments. And it's not about what you put in your tags anymore and stuff like that. It's like, so I've started hitting...
You sound like the old grumpy man here.
Look, in my day.
There are certain things that trigger the algorithm.
Yeah.
From the research I've done, from what you have seen, it's things that show interaction. So watch time obviously counts, views count, but other things also trigger how much YouTube puts us in front of other people. Some of those things are how much people are interacting, how much are they commenting, how much are they liking, how much are they subscribing, how many are set to get notices. So the bell ring that everybody talks about.
And that's the thing, it's like we're not a very intrusive show. We're like a bi-monthly show, so we're not going to be spamming you with things, updates every day and stuff. Please, if you do listen to this show, and even if you don't like it, even if you listen to it once, just subscribe to it.
I love that. You listen to it once. This episode, I hope this is not your first episode you're listening to, but yeah.
But I mean, if you haven't subscribed already and you do listen, or if you've listened a couple of times, it's like, just subscribe and hit notifications in it, because it helps us out. We're trying to get to 100. We're not spamming you with stuff. At the most, you'll get 2 notifications a month. It's not going to really impact you that much. Help us out. Help us get to 100, and just do it.
Okay.
Or I'm coming to your house.
Shia. All right. No, get away from that. All right. We do have another podcast called Buyer's Remorse, in which we subject each other to games we already own in our library. We started that earlier this year. There will be a wrap-up for that podcast as well, but we do want to mention it here in case people aren't checking it out or didn't know about it. We're pretty happy with it. It's a fun one, and it's much shorter, much easier to listen to. Gaps can be very in-depth, and we like to think thought-provoking. But Buyer's Remorse is kind of the opposite. It's more like the fun time that we have. We're also trying to build engagement, which Darren is doing through what we still, unfortunately, are referring to as Beggar's Remorse. Did you want to talk about that here?
Yeah, we could. Beggar's Remorse, I still like this idea. So rather than just giveaways where you get the title of the game and the key, for Beggar's Remorse, you only get the code and you don't know what the game is. And what we'd like you to do is, if you do take a code from the screen, basically, I'm gonna just like pop them up on the screen. You can pause the YouTube video to jot them down or to go into Steam and activate them. But the caveat is, if you do activate a game, we'd like you to play it for an hour and then send us a review. It can be as simple or as bananas as you want the review to be. Doesn't matter. No holds barred. We'll read it out. And we want to see what you think of playing a game for an hour. You can take a walk in our shoes for the day, for an hour even.
60 minutes. You only have to play them for 60 minutes.
Yeah, not 24 hours.
And with that, I think that's kind of where we're at the end. So things like, we do have a Twitter account, which is at FITG Podcast, which basically I only post when a Gaps episode comes out. So I don't use Twitter properly. I know that. And we have kind of 0 followers, and it's probably because I'm not using it properly. I get that. Twitter is not my domain. We're much more, at least I am much more, Steam group and email, which our email for this podcast is fillinginthegapspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. Give us suggestions. Let us know you're out there.
Also, you have to play the Filling in the Gaps drinking game.
Do you? Where did this come from? Did you put this in your notes?
Yeah.
All right.
So it's the end of the year. Here's a challenge, right? New Year's coming. So basically, every time I cough, you have to take a drink. Every time I say, yeah, you have to take a drink. Every time I say, but like, you got to take a drink. Every time I say, man, you have to take a drink. And then the one that I wrote down is, every time I say, basically, you have to take a drink. Editing our podcast, man, I say that, I just said man there. Every time I edit the podcast, it's like I say these things over and over and over again. It's like a bell ringing in my ear. But here's the kicker. Every time Justin says, this really irritates me, you have to finish your glass. Because you say that constantly, man. The thing that really irritates me, this really irritates me. It's like, yeah, every time Justin says, this really irritates me,
in some form,
you have to finish the glass. So there you go. That's a challenge. You'll be done before 30 minutes is up with that episode, I tell you.
I think I laugh that you put the cough in there as though I don't edit all of those out when at all possible. If there's a cough that's left in, it's because you're coughing while I said something that I didn't catch and say again. So they won't drink from that much. But, okay, does it have to specifically be but-like? Or can it just be anytime you say like?
No, not like. I say but like.
Okay, fair enough, because if it's just like, they're going to the hospital. But like. I should put but like. It's just a phrase. But like, but like, This is part of the reason why I love the fact that we both do editing, so that you can hear these things as well, and it's not just me hearing them.
Yeah, so there you go. The Filling in the Gaps drinking game.
Let us know how that goes.
Welcome to the emergency room.
I'm very curious to see how well that goes. I've never been the subject of a drinking game before.
Happy 2020.
Yes, so Happy New Year. We do have a puzzle for you. At least Darren has a puzzle for you. We cannot do it by audio. So if you are listening to the audio-only version, you want to jump over to the YouTube channel and watch the video.
Right at the end, basically.
Right at the end, there will be a video clue.
Yes.
And with that, this is our episode. So if you like what we do, keep listening, please, and spread the word. That's basically the only way that we are growing. And we are growing, maybe not quite as quickly as we'd like, but we are happy to continue to grow, to get new listeners. And for those of you that have been with us for 50 episodes or one, welcome and thank you for listening.
Yep, thank you. Gaps filled or more gaps created.
Next time. Today we're going to discuss a game called Escape First. Well, it's kind of touted as a multiplayer game, right? But I think we both think that it works much better as a single player. The room is pretty small.
And you're this big, giant, crash test dummy. There's dropped stuff all over the floor at some points, yeah.
The game we played together was the Clown Room, the Murder Circus or whatever.
Psycho Circus, was that what it was called, I think?
I hope so, because that's a much better name.
So that's payback time for me then, because I was powerless in that Clown Room, man.
All this and more on the next episode of Filling in the Gaps.